impact in the game.
Give me a break, need another life. Oh, need another life, life. Give me a break, need another life.
A response from Arsenal is needed after a shock 2 points dropped against Tottenham last time out. It's a favourable matchup because they've already won this one twice this season as they come up against Aston Villa from the Emirates Stadium. Well, before the shock draw between Arsenal and Tottenham last time out, Aston Villa would have probably been the second team but have been pretty worried about seeing the sight of the juggernaut Arsenal team it has been this season, because not only did they win the reverse fixture between these two, they also knocked them out of the Carabao Cup as well in a very similar roadmap. So does the omen fit well for Aston Villa this weekend? We're about to find out. It's the reverse fixture in the Premier League and Arsenal need a response again, because dropping those 2 points against Spurs right at the end proved very costly in the fact that they've now fallen behind City to a point now, and City at this point are still the only unbeaten team in the Premier League left. They have yet to lose, so Arsenal need to keep winning. They weren't really below par last time out. They really did score 2 goals, but it was from the most unlikely of sources, Eddie Nketiah. Victor Gyökeres didn't even get on the board at all. He actually makes a second consecutive start tonight. Having a look at the Arsenal side, it is very much the original starting 11 that you'd expect. So Saliba and Calvori are in today. No Gabriel. Benjamin White with Zinchenko on the fullback positions. It's Jorginho with Odegaard and Declan Rice. And of course, Alexander Isak. That means he's back into the side today as well. For Aston Villa, it's another match for Emilio Martinez back in goal. Torres and De Silva have the chance of trying keeping Arsenal out. John Duran is actually on the starting line today because I believe Ollie Watkins has left. I can't really remember what club for, but I think Ollie Watkins has left for a La Liga club, I believe. So Aston Villa are now without their star striker, which Arsenal could probably take some comfort from today. I'll have to wait and see. Well, we know when Arsenal need a response, they usually deliver. Reece Nelson, of course, still back into the side. Still no Bukayo Saka, and Kai Havertz was only fit enough to make the bench last time out, and I think that's the same case today. And there's no Gabriel, so it is up to Saliba and Calvori to try and keep the goals down for Arsenal. It is proving not a problem for Arsenal so far. That's probably the draw against Spurs was the first time they've dropped points since I want to say Bournemouth, because they faced Manchester City first and then faced Bournemouth later. But that was more due to Aaron Ramsdale being in the Bournemouth goal rather than Arsenal being not really firing on all cylinders as such. It's Declan Rice powering his way into the box already, and he's hit the post. And through comes Gyökeres. Is he going to find Nelson with that? No. Nelson's going to try and get it to him, but Carlos got there first. And I think that was Ross Barkley finding Jacob Ramsey here. And now Duran is with him. And if that's Ross Barkley, which I believe it is, who's run with him, that's really impressive. And that almost worked out. But then Jacob Ramsey comes up anyway. Ben White absolutely runs into him like a battering ram. He's probably knocking on to get put for that, to be fair. And there's David Raya doing that out. Soon Emre will be boasted by the dropping points from Arsenal. The first real dropped points for a long time. It proves vital in the title race. Jorginho will find Alexander Isak. And I think you could probably tell they missed him last time out. Nketiah got 2 goals, but in the end it wasn't really enough. And I think it was mostly Spurs' relentless pressure that did it. And even though Son had a pretty below par night really by his standards, he still managed to get a goal that brought them level. Arsenal already getting a kind of a foothold in this game. Here's Gyökeres again. He was rather ineffective against Spurs last time out. Really didn't feature that much. I think he got subbed off as well. I think that went off Madison's head for a throw. I think with Gyökeres, it's not to worry. It will take. Some players do take a bit longer to gel with the system. Isak, it took him a bit more time than he probably would have liked, even though he did score in that debut against Spurs. Reece Nelson's done brilliantly here. When they score from it, he's cutting in, and that was Diego Carlos. He was lucky that Nelson decided to stay on his feet. He could have so easily gone down there, but chose not to. Captain Martin Odegaard, player to watch today, as it always is the case with Arsenal. It's between him, Saka and Isak usually. They're the kind of tangible 3 that keep this glue together, really, as it were. Mikel Arteta has really made all the right signings in all the right places over the last 5 or so years. Ever since that FA Cup win back in 2020 in the lockdown year. And from there, he's gone from strength to strength. He's turned this team into perennial title challengers. He just needs to get over the line now. It's one more thing for Arsenal to do, and that's beat City in any trophy haul they can get. And now, with Gyökeres, it really does feel like Arsenal have got all the pieces together to mount this title challenge. But they need to hope that City drop more points somewhere, because they don't look like losing for 90% of the time. And here is Victor Gyökeres, and he finally scores as well. It only took him 1 game. He's off the mark. And that's exactly what Mikel Arteta would have wanted. Well, Victor Gyökeres come from Sporting Lisbon. A lot of people probably looked at him as more of an emergency signing with the injuries to Martinelli and Saka, but because he'll be probably playing more winger than striker unless Alexander Isak is rotated out of the squad for whatever reason. And I guess if Isak does go down, Gyökeres can play striker, as can Trossard. So Mikel Arteta really has players that can play in multiple positions, and that's why their squad depth has been so good this year. Even with the injuries to Martinelli and such, Arsenal are still out to score and out to win games. They've overcome the adversity brilliantly because they have massive squad depth and players that can play in multiple positions. It's a good start, and Victor Gyökeres is off the board, and Arsenal are up by a goal to 0, and Ryan makes the save. Martin Odegaard tackled by Maddison, who's got there. Really good effort by Maddison to get the ball. Jacob Ramsey, I believe he's brother to Aaron Ramsey, but I could be wrong about that. I think the irony there is, I'm sure Aaron Ramsey did actually play for Aston Villa at one point. That was Barkley with a shot. Well, I think he did a couple of those in his Everton days. Wasn't so good there though, unfortunately. And here is Gyökeres again. He's going to find Isak this time. And good save by Martinez, to be fair. Jorginho brings it down and hits it. Oh, it's off the underside of the bar. Oh my, what a strike. Here's Nelson. Arsenal still attacking. Good save by Martinez again. It would have been a perfect backup to David Raya had that been the case. But I think that also made a case for being a number 1 goalkeeper. And, well, that strike for Jorginho was a rocket. Nothing Martinez could do about it. He was saved by the woodwork. Gyökeres is spinning. Oh, he's giving it away to Ross Barkley. That was pretty cheaply given away. Arsenal, as we said, probably do play one too many passes sometimes. Now he's Leon Bailey. Into Barkley with a header. And Aston Villa are threatening. Well, considering they were 4th in last year's Premier League, you look at this season and say Villa have fallen off a little bit. And that's a fair assessment. It's just not gone right for them, which is unusual. But they are still in the Europe places, as it were. But they've certainly dropped below their last season's expectations, for sure. Now the loss of Ollie Watkins could really hamper their season. Ben White to Declan Rice. Nelson. And, well, when Arsenal play like this, there's no stopping them. Look at this ping-pong passing. It's ended up with Alexander Isak, 2-0. And Arsenal are responding to the Tottenham Hotspur draw. And another goal for Alexander Isak. I believe that is now 20 for the season, as he gets ever closer to that Premier League scoring record. Still a ways to go, but there's still a ways to play as well. And on Isak is on this sort of form, you can't stop him. It's another goal for him. Another goal for Arsenal. They're certainly back amongst the goals here already. 2-0 up within half an hour. So that is 20 goals now for Alexander Isak. I think his best kind of numbers was somewhere around the 10-15 mark for Newcastle last season. So he's certainly upped his scoring over the course of this football year, or football season, if you like. Nelson's into Isak again. In comes Jorginho as well. The other good thing is that Arsenal's age is considerably, player age is considerably down. I think Jorginho is like the oldest player, I think, in the squad overall at 31, maybe followed by Raheem Sterling. Now, Arsenal's age, I believe, is an average of about 27, I think. And every one of them is doing wonders. Oh, Isak, he's too strong. And Martinez with a good save. And Arsenal seem in that mood. They've taken the mistakes on board. Well, not really mistakes, but they've taken the kind of fact that, you know, score more definitely on the agenda today against a much weaker Aston Villa side than they had previously. Obviously, with the loss of Ollie Watkins, he did score in the reverse fixture between these two. Why Aston Villa have a free kick here, I have no idea. It looked more like a foul on Nelson, to be completely honest. Whatever the case, it's a free kick. I believe it's Pau Torres that takes it. Barkley couldn't pick out Bailey with that pass. Here's Declan Rice. Here's Nelson. Nelson getting a very good run of games under his belt with the injury to Saka. Isak. Good save by Martinez. In comes Gyökeres. And he takes the shot from there. And Martinez is equal to it. Well, Arsenal are back amongst the shots and back amongst the goals. I think the most they've let in is the 6 against Real Madrid, which came as no surprise to anybody. So anyone outside of that and Manchester City, I think the most they've let in is 3. And that might have been against Manchester City, actually. There's Gyökeres. Zinchenko. Arsenal are definitely in the we will score more than you category, but David Raya has certainly had his fair share of clean sheets this season as well. Superb defensive performances, particularly from Saliba, and that's a good save. Well, Saliba was initially unlucky there because he made the tackle, and I think it was Duran that actually wanted it more after that. So it was good play and persistence there from Duran, I think it was. Tillemans to Bailey. Alexander Zinchenko, and he's sent away. Alexander Isak, what a pass! And Isak scores with ease, no pun intended. 3-0, and that pass with Zinchenko was perfect. And Arsenal are definitely back on the winning track. Well, what a run by Isak. Certainly wasn't much of a runner coming into the Premier League with Newcastle United, but he certainly started making good runs now. But that pass from Zinchenko was perfectly placed, and that's a well-deserved assist for him. And as we approach the end of the first half, it's fair to say that Arsenal have put that setback against Spurs in the rearview mirror and are now going back to challenging City for this title. And that's the 21st goal for Alexander Isak as he continues to score. Well, this game might already be over. Arsenal have been in scintillating form all day. Already 2 goals for Isak and the other one as well. And for Gyökeres, a debut goal for him. And Arsenal already look out of sight. Arsenal 3, Villa 0. Welcome to the Emirates Stadium. A real belief around this place since the season started, and even more since the signings of Isaac Moreno and Sterling on loan. And you can see why. Today, they came into this match probably fielding a couple of questions after dropping points against Spurs, a team they'd had the better of in the previous 2 encounters between the two, with winning the Premier League fixture, the reverse one, and then knocking Tottenham out of the Carabao Cup. And they'll have as we know, they'll have a chance to knock them out of the FA Cup next, because after beating the holders, Manchester United, rather convincingly, they were drawn against Spurs in the 4th round. So the North London derbies are never ending for Arsenal, but they're now 2 and a draw, but they haven't lost yet. Well, Ross Barkley had a very semi-decent first half, but he's being early substituted here, which is rather unfortunate. And that's for John McGinn, I believe. But I don't know what has gone on in Aston Villa. They've just, as we said in the first half, they've had such a below-par year, really. And here's Isak. I mean, coming up against Arsenal, I think the score here should be no surprise. And well taken by Calvori, but Bailey has caught up with him, persisted with it, and now he's gone too. Bailey has a lot of pace under him. Oh, he should have made more of that, probably. And against Arsenal, you have to take your chances. Well, David Raya was one of the first, wasn't he, under Mikel Arteta? And then I think he was followed by Declan Rice. And then all the rest has been over the last year. And they've all been in the right places. Calvori has been great backup to Saliba and Gabriel. And Isak, well, it speaks for itself. And here's Gyökeres now looking for an assist from Isak. He's offside. But of course, Arsenal's current core without the signings have also performed. Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, and such. And even Jorginho has got in on the act a couple of times with some goals. Of course, the young core as well. Who can forget them? Jack Henry Francis, Lewis Skelly, Wanyeri, even a couple others. Daniel Jennings is getting some valuable experience, even if he's not making the team so much. But really, who can blame Mikel Arteta for playing your best goalkeeper? And they've even had Hand and Butler Ogini getting a goal apiece in places. This whole Arsenal team is... They're not stacked as in superstar with superstar and superstar like Manchester City. But upside and potential, and even some established, not superstars, but stars like Isak. It's a well-balanced squad with all sorts of different varying levels of potential as to where this team can go. And this is going to be the first step on that journey. And it looks like being a winning one if Arsenal can have their way. But they need City to drop points and for someone to do them a massive favour, because City don't like doing that, even with a squad depleted. Don't forget, Haaland didn't play in that first Carabao Cup tie. Isak is just leaving his defenders for chips here. And Nelson tried the overshot, I think. And it's going to be an Arsenal free kick. And Saliba and Gabriel were another two signings that were absolutely crucial when you think about it. And Saliba, I believe, is at one point on loan to Marseille. And that was the making of him. Isak! 4-0 to Arsenal and a match ball for Alexander Isak. It's inevitable. It's another glorious day for Alexander Isak. Goal 22 for the season. He's almost a certainty to break that record, unless something very unfortunate happens to him, which we hope not. As a basketball commentator once said in Michael Jordan's 69 against the Cavaliers, we're going to see a new scoring record unless Alexander Isak is hit by a bus very shortly. And it is very much the same sentiment here. I think this is Bailey, who's coming in from the side. And you have to be pretty early in the morning to beat David Raya like that. Well, should everything permit, Alexander Isak seems really on course to break that record. We talk a lot about it. It was only set by Erling Haaland a season or two back. Looks like that could go with Isak's absolutely stellar goal ratio for Arsenal since he joined. He's pretty much scored from game one. And it took a little bit to gel with the system, but as he is, he's been almost unstoppable at times. And Arsenal have really benefited from it all. Some questions over whether Newcastle would let go of such a prized asset. And I think that's Jacob Ramsey who's on the deck. Play goes on. And here is Isak. And he's going to pick out Jorginho. And he's going to save Martinez. I'm surprised Nelson didn't go for that, to be honest. But yeah, why did Newcastle United let go of such a prized asset? Was it PSR related, perhaps? I don't know. I think with the ownership, they could easily comply with PSR, really. In a bid to make the league fairer, though, has it really? City is still dominating at the best of times. But it has brought some of the chasing pack closer together. I mean, look at Newcastle United this season. They have absolutely thrived, to be fair. Aston Villa were 4th last season. So it's proved that these kind of rulings are working. But Manchester City are the best team in the land for a reason. Nelson. And Nelson, well, it's time for job done. Load management for Mikel Arteta. Rice and Jorginho and I believe Saliba are all making way for a return for Kai Havertz after a stint away with injury. Gabriel's come on as well, and so has Charlie Patino. And I apologise, I think Gabriel came on for Carvori, not Saliba. Which makes sense when you think about it. So finally, now with the return of Kai Havertz, after a long stint away being injured, and Arteta's probably just wanted to ease him just a little bit in, rather than have him outwork himself for a bit. Of course, Gabriel Martinelli is out for the season with that ACL injury. Moreno's out for an extended period, and I think Sterling is out as well. Saka is nearing a return, we're hearing, and Kai Havertz is. So that'll be a big boost to Arsenal this season, and they need it. The Spurs dropping points was definitely a setback, and they just need to hope others can someone can do them a favour and have City drop a point or two. Of course, Arsenal have that crucial match coming up in, I believe it's February, against Manchester City at the Emirates Stadium. That is going to be a true 6-pointer, and that could really shape the destiny of the destination of the Premier League title this season. If Man City come away with that one, there's no reason why they couldn't come unbeaten, to be honest. Kai Havertz. But if Arsenal win that one, they may very well take that 2-point lead. Tackled by Ben White. Arsenal on for a clean sheet so far. They've done very well defensively today. I'm even put the commentator's curse on them. But even if Villa do get a score here, it's probably going to be nothing more than a consolation, really. And they could get it right now. Here's Durant. Saliba right there to stop it in its tracks. Here's Tielemans, though. Still showing some intent here. Here's Durant. Havertz. Havertz rides the challenge well. Patino's with him. And he's going to pick out Patino here. And he's going to force save from the keeper. Probably didn't need to save it in hindsight, but you never know. And Diego, I think it's Santos Silva that's gone off. Is that Tyrone Mings who's come on? Diego Carlos has got, yep, for Tyrone Mings, yes. And Madison also went off from Moreno. And here is Gabriel. Oh, he turned his man out really well there, Gabriel. Pretty good with his feet, isn't he? It's a couple of times he's done that, and unfortunately the shot hasn't really resulted in a goal. In fact, this one results in a goal kick. I was actually more thinking it was a corner, but unfortunately for Arsenal, no. But they are 5 minutes away from winning this game in the perfect response to the setback a little bit at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think it was the Emirates, actually. My apologies. Because that was obviously at the top of the Hotspur Stadium the first time. I think to continue that record. Oh. And someone went over the railing there. I think they're okay. A very unknown stat for Arsenal as I try to tally this up. I don't think Arsenal have lost at home this season at all. So they have a 100% home record in all competitions, I believe. Because the one loss they did have in the Champions League was at the Bernabeu against Madrid. And then they had one loss against Manchester City earlier in the season. But since those two, they haven't lost a game. So, and they were both on the road. So, Arsenal certainly have not lost at home all season long. Alex Moreno has a lot of space because Arsenal have been caught a bit flat here. 5 minutes of added on time. And the ball is everywhere. And there's a mix-up a little bit between Gabriel and Zinchenko, but thankfully it was cleared up. Pantino gives it away. McGinn shoots. And It's a bit ambitious, to be honest. Oh, a bit of a hard knock there by Nelson. Heavy touch. Here's Bailey. Aston Villa on the hunt for a consolation, perhaps. Could be nothing more than that, because Arsenal are a long way out in front already. Havertz. This has done really well since he came on, to be fair. He's only at the ball well here. He's going to put the ball in towards Isak. It's 5-0. And that is game over. And that is 4 for Isak in this game. He has been unplayable. Goal number 22, served on a platter by Kai Havertz, who marks his return to football with flair and an assist. And Isak, absolutely wonderfully taken. And that is just a glimmer of the star talent that Alexander Isak is. And by the end of the season, he might become the superstar that Arsenal have desperately needed over the last couple of years. They have been absolutely stellar, and it's back to 5-star football at the Emirates with a 5-0 win against Villa here. Goal 23 for Alexander Isak. Erling Haaland will be looking over his shoulder right now. And a clean sheet for David Raya as well. Aston Villa blown out of the Emirates today by that man alone. Alexander Isak gets 4. And I think it was Gyökeres who opened his account for the 5th. And it was all Arsenal from pretty much minute 1. That is exactly the response and the message that Mikel Arteta would have sent to City. We have dropped points, but we're still going to fight you. Arsenal 5, Villa 0. So let's take a look at all the other scores around the weekend and what that means for the table. We have a draw between Manchester United and Arsenal, and Bournemouth losing to Newcastle United as they continue to try and make a title push. Vital win for Manchester City by 3-1 against Ipswich Town. Leicester 1, Fulham 1, West Ham 3, Crystal Palace 1. Brentford lost to Liverpool by 2-0 as they try to consolidate 4th. Nottingham Forest then beat Southampton by a 1-1 draw, and Everton then lost to Spurs, and then Manchester United lost to Brighton. So we actually had a date a bit earlier there. Chelsea 1-0 against Wolves, and that was the end of the games today. So Manchester United's season shows no sign of improving with a draw and loss. City still at the top by a point ahead of Arsenal. Newcastle United still mathematically in touch, but it looks like City and Arsenal are starting to build a bit of a gap. Liverpool have a 2-point lead over Spurs for the fight for 4th. Chelsea have fallen back a bit in 6th. West Ham have come from nowhere, up on 7th in 31, and Brighton have it as well. Villa's loss hasn't set them back too badly, as they're still in the top 10. Brentford have dropped a couple of places with their loss to Liverpool. Manchester United continue to sink, but they're safe in 11th for the moment. Bournemouth could actually overtake them if results go their way in the near future. And where does the bleeding stop for Ruben Almiron is Manchester United side? If that's the case, well, Fulham are 13th, 4 points behind. A further point ahead behind them is Leicester City in 14th, Palace 15th, and Forest 16th. I want to see what the relegation issue is, because now it's on 15. So Everton's actually, I'm thinking 19th now. They could actually be last. Actually, not quite. Still a nice mathematical chance, but they really just start getting some points and fast. Even Wolves could overtake them.